It's a deep-sea showdown of epic proportions. In one corner, we have the largest prehistoric shark that ever existed, and in the other corner, we have a mysterious and menacing deep-sea cryptid. Megalodon vs. the BLoop would be like King Kong vs. Godzilla, except 10,000 leagues under the sea. Would the Megalodon's ferocious teeth protect it from the BLoop's attack? Here's a look at how the prehistoric Megalodon shark compares to the mythical deep-sea creature the BLoop. Who would win this struggle for supremacy? Keep watching to see who's crowned King of the Sea. Let's take a deep dive, no pun intended, into the stats of these epic marine animals. The prehistoric Megalodon and the mythic BLoop each have strengths and weaknesses, and it might be a closer fight than you would believe. The BLoop's estimated 75-meter length might give it an advantage over the 25-meter Megalodon, but sometimes betting on the underdog, or the undershark in this case, can pay off. At first glance, you might think this would be a one-sided fight and that the BLoop would win based on size alone, but don't be so sure. Wouldn't the Megalodon's sharp teeth tear apart the BLoop's tentacles, fins, or gills? Here's how the showdown might play out. The Megalodon, or Cryptozoologists Megalodon, as scientists like to say, was the largest shark and one of the largest fish that ever existed. Based on fossil records, this supersized jaws went extinct about 2.6 million years ago. Paleontologists have concluded that the Megalodon ruled the oceans for a very long time. The Meg was an apex predator from the Miocene epoch all the way to the Pliocene epoch. That means this mighty meat-eater roamed the waters as far back as 15.9 million years ago. But its time as the champ might not have lasted that long if it had to face the BLoop. Imagine coming face-to-face with the Meg. Its 10-foot wide mouth and 7-inch long teeth would make quick work of just about anything. It's no wonder how this giant shark got its name. Megalodon literally means big tooth. If you happen to find one of these big teeth, you might end up with a bit of extra cash. A 6.5-inch Megalodon tooth sold at auction for $2,600, and teeth regularly sell for $400 to $500. If you're surprised at how affordable they are, don't be. Megalodon teeth are fairly common, so that's why they are not as expensive as something like a complete T-Rex, which is worth about $8 million. With a bite force of 108,514 to 182,201 newtons, Megalodon could bite through prey very easily. Even giant prehistoric sea turtles with rock-hard shells didn't stand a chance against the beast's bite. To give you a bit of perspective, a human's bite strength is only 1,317 newtons. Megalodon has a varied diet and certainly wasn't picky. It ate prehistoric fish, whales, seals, dolphins, and even other sharks. It didn't eat dinosaurs, however, as they went extinct far before the Megalodon existed. The size of the Megalodon is up for debate. It's actually quite difficult for paleontologists to determine the exact size of Megalodon. Sharks don't have bones, and instead their skeletons are made of cartilage. Cartilage doesn't preserve well in the fossil record. That's why there are no fossilized Megalodon skeletons. Fossilized teeth are the only way to determine Megalodon's size. Megalodon likely reached a max size of 25 meters, but researchers at the London Natural History Museum say 18 meters is more accurate. That's 3 times larger than a great white shark and twice as large as a whale shark. Of course, we might be understating the size of Megalodon altogether. It's possible we just haven't discovered teeth from the largest Megalodon specimens. Does it still exist? There is a very slim chance that the Megalodon still exists. After all, we thought the coelacanth was extinct, and it turns out we were wrong about that. Scientists at the University of Zurich studied Megalodon fossils using a technique called optimal linear estimation to determine their age. They found that 6 out of 10,000 simulations showed a 1% chance that these giant sharks could still be alive. So you probably don't have to worry about Megalodon the next time you go surfing. Still, it's fun to imagine that the Megalodon still exists. Hollywood had the same idea. The movie The Meg was a huge hit and made $530 million at the worldwide box office. If the Megalodon was still around, there is no doubt people would be on the hunt for it. Poachers often go after orcas and sell them to amusement parks for as much as $1 million. A Megalodon would likely fetch a price at least 5 times as high, and keeping one in an aquarium would be ridiculously expensive. Home shark aquariums alone can cost up to $15 million. Even if the Megalodon did still exist, keeping one in captivity might be impossible. Great white sharks cannot be kept in captivity and die quickly outside of the ocean. John Hammond might want to think twice about adding a Megalodon to Jurassic Park. We know quite a bit about Megalodon, but the bloop is much more of a mystery. In 1997, scientists and cryptozoologists were in a frenzy when the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration discovered a spooky underwater sound while researching underwater volcanoes in South America. What made the sound? Scientists had no clue early on, so the theories started to pour in. The sound was extremely loud, and underwater microphones called hydrophones picked up the same noise 3,219 kilometers apart in the Pacific Ocean. If a sea creature made the noise, it would have to be massive. Was it an undiscovered prehistoric beast, monster squid, or something mythical like the kraken, leviathan, or Cthulhu? Whatever it was, it earned the nickname the bloop because that's exactly what the noise sounded like. "It's unusual when a sound is recorded on all the sensors we have deployed," said Bob Ziak, the manager of the acoustics program for NOAA. "If it's a ship or a whale, when it makes a sound in the ocean, it isn't big enough to be recorded all the way across the Pacific, but this sound was recorded on many hydrophones, so it stood out in our mind as being something unique." According to Ziak, there was speculation early on that the sound was made by a giant squid. It was considered possibly of animal origin, and one idea that was floated out there was the idea that it was a giant squid, he said. If the bloop really is an underwater beast, it would have to be at least 75 meters long based on the volume of the sound. A giant squid-like creature isn't the only possibility when speculating on the biological nature of the bloop. Others have speculated the bloop is mammalian, and if that's true, then we have to compare it to the blue whale. Assuming similar noise-making capabilities of a blue whale, which is the largest animal alive, the bloop would have to be made by an animal more than 75 meters in length. A creature of this size would dwarf the megalodon, eat much more, and probably be much more dangerous. It's fun to speculate that the bloop is some kind of giant sea monster, but the truth is actually much more mundane than mythical. A lot more research has been done since 1997, and National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration researchers have a lot more data now. Researchers started to move hydrophones closer to Antarctica, and over the years, loud sounds like bloop have become more prevalent. It turns out that the bloop was actually caused by an ice quake. Climate change means large chunks of ice are breaking away from Antarctica, so scientists are hearing more loud bloop-like noises. The Richest even did a video debunking the myth that the bloop is an underwater monster. Okay, so maybe there isn't a giant 75-meter sea creature living off the coast of Chile. But when you think about it, climate change is actually far scarier. Despite all this evidence, there are still cryptozoologists who aren't convinced, and we can't really blame them. 95% of the ocean is still unexplored, and strange deep-sea creatures are being discovered every year. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has a yearly budget of about $5.8 billion. And if that kind of money was devoted to specifically looking for sea monsters, then we might just find one. Let's, for the sake of argument, say the bloop really is a giant sea monster. Would it make lunch out of the megalodon? Maybe not. If the megalodon was still around and the bloop was real, then they would most likely compete for food. That means a battle could happen. Sailors have been telling tales of sperm whales fighting against squids for decades, and while no one has ever seen such an encounter, we know it's the truth because giant squid beaks have been found inside the stomachs of sperm whales. Giant squids might also fight great white sharks. Photographer Darren Verback snapped a picture of a white-tipped shark with suction marks on its side, which is the first time these markings have been observed on a shark. If sharks can survive squid attacks and sperm whales can devour giant squids, then Megalodon might be able to survive an attack from the bloop. If it's a juvenile bloop, then the matchup is even closer. Paleontologists suspect that the Megalodon hunted alone. But what if the shark still existed and evolved into a pack hunter? A pack of Megalodon would make easy work of the bloop. The largest megalodon tooth ever discovered was found in Acucage, Peru, and measured a staggering 7.48 inches. This is just the largest verified tooth. There are rumors that locals in Peru have found megalodon teeth as large as 8 inches. More and more megalodon teeth are being found all the time, so it's certainly possible there's an even bigger one out there. Maybe you should check out your local beach. If you happen to find a megalodon tooth between 7 and 8 inches, you should jump for joy because teeth of this size can sell for as much as $50,000 at auction. They are much more valuable than 6-inch megalodon teeth, which are much more common. A nearly complete set of megalodon teeth was discovered in Saitama, Japan in 1989. If you managed to find that many teeth, you would probably be able to retire early. That's it, folks. Who do you think would win a fight between the megalodon and the bloop? Would the megalodon succumb to the suckers of the bloop? Or would the megalodon tear apart the bloop's tentacles with its powerful teeth? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe.